What's up? How you sing that song? Come on in the room. Let me get online so I can share with phenomenal financial freedom. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I'll give you guys an opportunity to come on. I don't do a lot of countdowns. Don't do a lot of countdowns. And but what I do is say, hey, yo, get that book. Get that book for someone that you love. Get that book for someone that you like. Listen, I know there's some people who want to see their community impacted, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna get 10 books for 10 kids, 5 boys, 5 girls, and it's not really the children. It's not a book for children. It's for the parents. You know, a parent that has children that want to be successful in, you know, in any kind of career involving science, technology, engineering, and math. Listen, sponsor them to one of the STEM camps that I have. My camps are very low cost, you know, very low cost, 80, 120, 240. Like the 241 is the best economic where you get $20 a month, $20 a month for the year, phenomenal STEM year. And they're going to learn. They're going to be given great foundations from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. hmm I'm here to try to prepare people. So happy Wednesday. All right. I could always depend on my mama to join. Let's get right into it. We're talking about how to cope during a downturn. How to cope during a downturn. So how I looked at the stock market year to date. This is the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is down. The S&P 500 is down. Can you see it? Not that much. 1.4%. I'm not saying it's going to go down any further. I'm not saying it's going to go up. I can't predict the future. But what I do know is the Dow is not that bad. The S&P 500, meaning the best 500 stocks in the world, are currently on average going down. hmm What do you do during a downturn, during what we call a stock market correction? Okay, so, well, what is a stock market correction? That's the first thing you have to know. When you hear all these people talking about, oh, a correction is going to happen, oh, there's got to be a correction, and we're entering into a bear market. What does that mean? That means that the stock market goes down 10% or more. 10% or more. hmm And I told you last week, there's nothing to be afraid about. You know, continue on in your life because on average the stock market goes up over time. That's just the way life is. Okay, on average, the stock market goes up over time. So, what are the um top seven? I believe top seven things you should do to cope for or during a correction. Number one, get perspective. This is coming from the Forbes article that I posted in Phenomenal Financial Freedom. Okay, the Forbes article. A correction is a correction. So it goes for housing, real estate, buyer, um, but right now I'm talking about the stock market correction. I hear that the real estate market will continue to boom this year. That's what I hear. So I'm still building my cash, waiting for a correction. But you don't want to wait too long because you may miss the ride. It just depends. But you know, you do what you got to do based on what you have. Um, but I'm talking about, so yeah, a buyer's market versus a seller's market. Basically, a buyer's market is when there's a correction, right? And you can now get a good deal. A seller's market is when it's in boom town and you're selling your house for triple time the value. Yeah. Remember, in all things, you want to buy low, sell high. The problem with the stock market, the crash of the housing market, which is in theory never thought to have gone, never lose value. There was a connection between the stock market and the housing market. They were selling bad loans and putting it in a stock, wrapping it in a stock fund. And so when the stock market crashed, the housing market was revealed to be faulty. And so it was saying that many of the housing that was they were basically overpriced for no reason. And a lot of people were buying on the high. They were buying high um, housing cost with high housing costs, and those houses really weren't worth what they said they were. hmm So, first rule: get perspective. There were 27 corrections, on an average 14% decline. 27, right? So a bear market, when you hear bulls and bears, a bear market is when you have, I believe, a quarter or 2 quarters of low 10% corrections. Now, in my mind, I'm like, yo, perspective is that's how it's been. 27, that's what happens. You get corrections. And if you're able to get in on the low, corrections give opportunities for young people to get in. you know they give opportunities for young people, just like a housing market correction gives opportunity for young people who don't have a lot of money to buy a house versus an overpriced house. Get some perspective. Number two, what are the ways you can cope during a correction? So when the news comes on and says, hey, the stock market is down 1,000 points, what do? Number one, get perspective, meaning, dude, the stock market has been down over my lifetime multiple times. It's the way of the stock market. Number two, avoid the news. Stop listening to those. The news job is not to help you make money. The news wants to take money from you. How? Through advertising. They get paid by people that are selling. So they want you to media, consume the products being sold in that media, and have you waste time, which is also money. So please don't watch the news. That's what they say. Don't watch the news and don't talk about stocks with friends. Get an advisor. Now I now we have a group here that's a educational tool, but I don't really you don't hear me talking picking stocks on this program. I don't pick stocks on this program. Um, I just teach about finances. If you want to learn about stocks, you're going to have to join a stock brokerage firm and get taught by people at the stock brokerage firm. Like I told you before, I love Charles Schwab in that they have lots of workshops with professionals. They have financial advisors. They have specialized programs that do robotic financial advising. That's who you work with. You do not work with the news. Now, I told you before to watch the CNBC just to get the forecast. I told you to watch it at the end of the month. I didn't tell you have to watch it every day. Don't do that. Do not watch the news. Do not talk about stocks with friends. They don't know what they're talking about. And you can get obsessed, and that obsession could lead to selling on the low. And you don't want to sell on the low. Buy on the low. You sell on the high. Number three, we're talking about the 7 things you should do during a market correction. Don't cry, buy. When a market correction gets hot, stay cool. That's what they say. This is the Forbes article. When the market correction gets hot, stay cool. Like, don't get upended. Stick with your strategy. You decided to work with a financial advisor. You decided to work with um, brokerage firms that have pie charts as to what you should be in and how, at the different percentages you should be in. You work with the research of the brokerage firm, the financial advisor. You stick with the plan. You stick with the plan. Whether the market is hot, whether the market is cold, stick with the plan. Stay steady. Number 4, we're talking about how to cope during a correction. Number 4, consider making minor reductions or adjustments, during a correction. Minor. And it depends on your age. I work with my mother's stuff, and I'm like, she's older. She's in the process of removing money from her retirement accounts. So we have to modify based on the situation. I might have had it more aggressive when she was younger, but now that she's older, it says that if you need the money within the 5 years, you want to be conservative, right? But some things that I have, listen, we gotta. I don't believe in age appropriate accounts either, because some things you need them within the 5 years, but you also have to prepare for 30 years down the road. Our parents are living 100 years now. My aunt, one of my grandmother's sister, is turning 100 in March. People made plans to live to 65, but we're getting older. With the healthcare system in America, our family members are getting older. So some of you parents are 70 years old, you got another 30 years. So you're going to need the money 20 years from now for your elder care. So I still think you need to be in the stock market a little bit risky in certain points, like with certain things. Some certain things need to be conservative for the now, but you also want to keep in mind for the future. You have a future too. I know all the old heads talking about God forbid. I'm just saying there are a lot of people turning 90. Betty White died at 99. So make minor adjustments, but don't get too conservative, even when you're old. Talk to a financial advisor. Who's that? I don't remember. I think one, two, three, four, five. Number 5, we're talking about the top 7 things you should do during a correction. Number 5, um, your correction superpower is dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging. What is that? Dollar cost averaging means that you buy consistently every month. Every month. You don't buy and sell on like during the crash. You don't have time. You're not that savvy. Most people have jobs doing other things. So what you need to do, the way you manage during a correction is every what I noticed, I'm not saying it's law or anything, but I noticed Let me share my screen again. What I noticed, let's say for the past 6 months, look, okay, look, it's down here on the July 19th. See, it was a steep drop. See, it dropped to July 19th. And then if you look at August 19th, look, August 19th. I'm not saying this is law or anything. This is just something that I noticed for the past year. August 19th, look what happened. A little correction right there. And then what happened? Another month later, look, September 20th. See that? Another drop, right? Another month. Let's look at October. October 20th, 19th wasn't that bad. Didn't do nothing. It's going up. Let's look at November 19th. It wasn't that bad, I think. This is during the holidays. And then December 19th or 20th, there was a drop. So out of the 6 months, 4 of the 6 months, the drop kept happening on around the 19th, 20th. That's what I noticed all year long. Okay, all year long. That's what I started to see. Wait, it keeps dropping on the. What's going on? I don't know what's going on the 19th, but that's what I said. That's what I chose. I said, okay, well then buy every third week of the like buy every 19th. You know, or or put money in the robot. You don't know what some people don't know what to buy. So I said there's a robo investing account. Put a couple of $100 every month on the 19th, and around the 20th, the robot will be able to use that cash and readjust based on what you decided was safe for you. Dollar cost averaging. And so if you'll catch the dips every month. And if you don't, you know, the thing about dollar cost averaging, sometimes you catch the dips, sometimes you don't, but you won't on average, you won't buy on the high all the time. You'll catch the dips if you consistently automatically purchase every month. What's up, Mike? Brother Haywood, what's going on? Good to see you. So I told you that your Roth IRA gets $6,000. That means $500 every month. You're putting $500 a month into your stock market account, and you're just buying your little low cost index fund. If you buy your low cost $500 worth of a low cost index fund every month, you know that you'll make it in the high, but you won't you on average you'll catch your dips. Number six. Don't panic. How to cope. We're talking about how to cope during a market correction. When you hear the stock market crashed 1,000 points, 2,000. First of all, the higher the stock market goes, the higher the crashes will be, but will not be that significant. Not, the market crashing at 900 is not the same today as it was in 2008. If the stock market was worth 15,000, excuse me, if the stock market was worth 15,000 last in 2008, going down 900 points is very significant. Let's say 1,000 points. If the stock market was $10,000 and it went down 1,000 points, right? That's 10% drop in a day. That's a lot. 10% drop in one day is quite a bit. That was happened back then. But now the stock market is worth $40,000. So if it dropped 1,000, right? It's not 10,000. It's not 10%, right? It's about, let's see, Let's think about it. $40,000. So 10% would be $4,000. That's not what happened. So 1% would be 400, right? So I'm doing math here. So about $1,000 drop today is a 3% drop in a day, compared to $1,000 drop 10 years ago is a 10%. The stock market is increasing. So when it drops 2%, it's gonna look like it's dropping a lot, but that's just because it's worth a lot in the first place. I hope the math, STEM, that's what I'm saying. STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. So don't panic when you hear the stock market drop 1,000 points. That just may mean it dropped 3% today. And I'm trying to get it to drop some good something so I can make some money. Don't panic. Even if you're nearing retirement, I remember there are people who were nearing retirement and they were worried about the stock market dropping. They were worried about the stock market dropping. Let's look a year ago, right? They were worried about the stock market dropping. So let's see. So in March, the stock market dropped. March 20th. Um, let's go to 5 years. Sorry, here. Okay, March 2020, 2020. People were nearing retirement. If they had sold, if they sold in March because of the pandemic, you know how much money they would have lost. So they should have. Matter of fact, I'm saying don't cry, buy. Don't cry, buy. That's what I said back in March 2020. Don't cry, buy. Or at least stay still. Because what happened? It did a V formation, quick, fast, and in a hurry. That thing didn't last long. It dropped steeply in March, February to March, 1 month. It dropped steeply, steady decline. And then by August, it was back to regular again. So April, May, June, July, August. 5 months later, it was back like nothing ever happened. And if you had sold, you would have been in trouble. Don't panic. Corrections last between 6 months and 2 years. The last major correction that we had, of course, was the the um the 2008 recession. The 2008 recession, right? I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna show that. We're talking about corrections. The stock market, this is the stock market over all time, has gone up 3,854%. The stock market, look how far, right? Listen, there's a, you know what happened here? This crash right here. This is 9/11 crash, right? You know what this crash right here? This is the Great Recession from 2008, 2009. And what happened? It was up. So in 3 years, it was it was up. All right. So you don't quit here. You don't quit here. You you stay calm. Patience is needed. It was crazy, but we got through it, didn't we? And my biggest regret is selling in 2008. You know what I had in 2008? I had Apple in 2008. I had Amazon in 2008. Amazon. I had Amazon in 2008. God forbid. Every time I think about it, pick myself every time I think about the fact that I sold Amazon. I sold Amazon in 2008. I'm gonna show you Amazon. I'm gonna show you Amazon. I'm gonna let my pain be your learning experience. I bought Amazon when it was back when I first got into the stock market. I think I got into the stock market after graduating from graduate school in 2006. That's when I first learned, did it. Started going into stock. I bought Amazon around $30, and I bought multiple Amazon. I think I probably have like I would buy about 5, 10 shares. I had, let's say, 10 shares of Amazon. $300 worth of Amazon. God forbid. My pain is your learning experience. Amazon has jumped 189,000%. Listen to me. And I knew when back in '06 that Amazon was the future. I didn't know why. I figured like everything's gonna go online. The online is gonna be the future. That's what I felt. Online was gonna be the future. So I said, let me try Amazon. It's $30. It's cheap. 10 shares. You know what Amazon is worth now? 3,000 shares. And that's not including the dividends and the buying and the reinvesting and stuff like that. Now I still made a decision. What happened was in in '08, I quit my job and I figured, I had different stocks. I had Mastercard, I had all these great stocks, but I quit my job and I wanted to be able to still pay for my depreciable item called a car and live with, be able to support myself without mooching off of people. So I sold at 80. Now 80 is awesome. 30 to 80, that's an awesome return on my investment. But nothing compared to this, John. Nothing compared to this, John. I made, over almost, I think it was 90, matter of fact. So I made I knew the stock market. You can't even see the stock market crash, my friends. My friends, you can't even the stock market crashed in about '08, '09. Look, it's like $42. So it went up to 80 and it crashed in half. That's what was going on in '08, '09. The stock market crashed in half. But look at this, guys. You can't even tell a crash happened over time. You can't even tell, guys. You can't even tell that a crash happened in '08 and '09 when it comes to Amazon. It just went up and up and up. Don't get caught up in the crashes. That's what the news want to do to get you to consume. Ignore it. Don't panic. Lastly, forget the regret. That's me. I'm still happy. I sold my stocks. I moved and I ventured off in my life and I was able to find my passion, my career, my everything. And so I've gained everything all back. Because truly 10 shares times 3,000 is what? What's the math of that? I would have been, I'm still okay, but 10 times 3,000 is $30,000. I just would have had $30,000 more. Plus, of course, like I probably would have more because let's say I just kept buying. Let's say I just kept buying at $30, at $40. Man, if I had like 100 shares, 200 shares, 500 shares of Amazon when it was $30, then it would be $1.5 million if I had just kept buying, even when it was low. When it dropped down to 42, I should have got excited. What I should have done was got excited. See, most people are like, "Oh my god, it went from 80 to 42. Oh my god." No. You say, "Yay, I can get in. I can get in again." I got in when it was 30, but it kept going high. It's like, "Oh, it keeps going high." But that drop was an opportunity so you could have got more for less. You got 50% off and you could have been hot, just kept buying, kept buying, kept buying. Going from 10 to 50 to 200 to 500 shares. And if you had 500 shares, what's 500 shares at $40, right? 500 shares at $40 is $20,000. 500 shares times 40. Yeah. You would invested $20,000, let's say, but it would be equated to 1.5 million. And you're not buying it, you're not dropping $20,000 on one thing. It's over time, over a period of time, you're investing in the stock market and it will jump. Forget the regret. Like, man, I wish I had invested in '09. Oh man, I wish I had invested in '10 and in 2020 when it dropped like that. Oh man, I missed it. You never miss it. That's the beauty of that's the beauty, excuse me. That's the beauty of corrections. Corrections give you opportunities to try again. That's the beauty of corrections. It's an opportunity to get in when you missed out. So, how do you cope during a correction? Let's number 7, stop forget the regret. For, Forget the regret. If you lose money, don't regret being in the stock market. If you gain money, don't regret feeling like, "Oh man, I wish I had come earlier." Number 6, don't panic. Even if you're nearing retirement, don't panic. Have some for 5 years worth of money so that you can be safe, but then the rest of the money, make a goal because it's like a 20-year goal. You have money that you need within the next 5 years, and you have money that you're going to need in 20 years. Keep keep that in mind. Number 5, dollar cost average. Every month you put away $500 in a Roth IRA because you're only allowed $6,000 in that thing. That could be your first goal. And and it some investment accounts have robot investing where they'll just automatically invest for you, or you could just have simple small index funds in there, and then you just drop your $500 and adjust it according to the pie chart that you decide with your brokerage and financial advisor. Next one, minor adjustments, not major adjustments. And usually there's we call it a correction, like when the pie chart gets out of whack, you look, and if it's 5% too high or 5% too low, that's when you make those minor adjustments. But the beauty of these brokerage firms is that they you work with them, and they estimate your tolerance, and then you just move with the pie chart, and you stay in lane with the pie chart, and you just trust that. So when the correction gets hot, you stay cool because that's how it works. Avoid the news. Don't talk about it with friends. Don't have them rile you up and get nervous. And lastly, make sure that you understand the perspective of the stock market is that they always go up and down. All right, you guys, it's been great talking to you. Good to see you, Michael. Good to see you, Mommy, and all the rest of you who joined in the cut. You guys have a great week, and don't let correction scare you. Don't cry. Bye. Have a good night, guys.